I like what he has to say, so let's listen.
I'll pay the money I owe you later. Keep saying nice things, it's going to cost me more money. So yes, my name is Alex Barron, and I would like to first thank Matt Roeder for city councilman who's recently was re-elected successfully, for helping out and putting a lot of effort behind this. I'd like to thank John Grimm, who actually spent his own money and got a lot of this started, so we should all say thank you to him. I'd also like to thank one of the people say that I like pretty girls a lot. And I'm like pretty girls, drink and like cigars, but one of the people that really put a lot of work into this is Penelope Morris right here. Look at her, she says surprise, and she's gorgeous. She's the one who's running around getting everybody, calling me up 15 times to try to remind myself to get here, but it's good. And lastly, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to be here. So you are your community's leaders, our community leaders, because you are choosing to make the effort to understand what's going on in your community. And so that is, you know, when you look around, who's going to do this, who's going to stop this? Look no further, you know. So a little bit about me. I have a Bachelor of Science in Information Systems and works as a system engineer designing solutions. That's what I do for a living. Politically, I've worked with the Idaho Republican Liberty Caucus since 2012 here in Idaho, doing various speaking gigs. I am the secretary of the Kootenai County Central Committee since 2016. I've worked with the Idaho State Republican Party at our state meetings for multiple times. I was elected vice chairman for Legislative District 3 in 2018. I've worked in and around politics, and I could go on for that, but I've been around politics for about 20 years since I came back from the Navy, working with the Navy overseas. And now I own a small piece of land out in Ratham Prairie. That's my son right here. You might drive by there and see him in my Kubota, helping his old man with snow and mowing the grass. So, and I have three girls. So when I heard about this, I was like, oh, what? So as an engineer, we start with what is the problem. So you guys all don't like this or don't like that. That's not a definition of the problem statement. You got to understand what is the problem if you're going to solve it. So what is the problem? I quote, "These high concentrations of returning prisoners generate great cost to those communities, including potential increases in cost associated with crime, public safety, greater public health risk, high rates of unemployment, and homelessness." Where's that data from? Idaho Department of Corrections. That's the problem. It's specifically from a research brief titled Prisoner Reentry in Idaho by the Urban Institute Justice Policy Center from 2004. It's all used Idaho's own data. The research brief continues, by the way, just to understand who you're dealing with. And I think it's fair to understand, this is maybe not what you expected, but the majority of these released prisoners were single white males with the average age of 33. The largest percentage of prisoners in these facilities or release period have been serving time for non-violent, non-drug offenses. Idaho's own receipt says that 35 or approximately 40% of these prisoners will reoffend within 36 months. That's the truth. That's their own data. That's their own data. That means this is approximately 40 of the 130 people they're putting there. And once it gets started, that means they know that they're putting at least 40 men into our community who will reoffend. Now, all reoffenses is not new crimes, because sometimes they can break prohibition, fail drug tests, but often they are real crimes, and that's why he was talking about this. Thus, from a reentry planning perspective, it's crucial to consider the community impact of a prisoner reentry facility. For example, are jobs available near these communities where the prisoners return? One of the main ways to reduce recidivism. What is the availability of affordable housing in these areas was one of the Idaho Department of Corrections' own data said one of the critical things to keep them from reoffending. This is critical to understand when you're figuring out where these guys go. This prisoner reentry brief continues and says that the highest percentage of prisoners released in Idaho are in Ada County, Twin Falls County, Washington County, and Cassia counties. Fifth is Kootenai County. 4 counties have a higher number of prisoners being released. There are 2 facilities located in Ada County, the East Boise Reentry Center and Treasure Valley Reentry Center. Idaho Falls Reentry Center is in Bonneville County, and the Napa Reentry Facility is in Canyon County. I don't understand why they didn't put the facilities where most of their own data says most of these people end up. I don't understand that. Like they skipped over several counties and came to Kootenai. By the way, we keep saying that we don't agree on the objective. I think we do. That's why you have to understand the problem statement. We all agree that we do not want this prisoner reentry facility coming to this county, at least as defined by the Idaho state at this time. We all agree on that, period, that's it. Here are some of the things that I would recommend that we advocate for if the facility must come here or must come anywhere in the north. If pre-parole is retained, and I can go into it in the Q&A of why that is, then we must have an independent review of prisoners placed in this facility, something like a parole board. Right now, Josh is saying, I have my sole discretion who I put here. That is not going to work. That's not going to work. Wherever the facility is located, I would advocate that the local sheriff have pre-notification of these guys coming here. The sheriff is our law enforcement office. He is responsible for seeing security throughout the county. That guy should get notified 30 to 60 to 90 days or whatever it is before these people, so he can raise a holy stink if the wrong people are coming. And my suggestion is, instead of building 130-bed facility, you guys don't know how, some people seem not to understand how government works. 130-bed facility today, 300-bed facility tomorrow. Because I have the land now, I have all the permits, I don't need your permission. So instead of building one owned by the government, staffed by the government, growth of government, I think we should break these down, because in that study it says that one of the things that reduce recidivism is putting men closer to their families. Well, what are we going to have? Somebody from Boundary trying to drive down here? Why does that make sense? If that makes sense, then just expand the facilities that exist in southern Idaho. So the concept is, if you're going to put them, you want, actually, like I said, NIMBYism, if there are prisoners, if there are people from Kootenai County who are going through this, these are our neighbors. So trying to tell the governor they can't come back but why are we taking Boundary's prisoners? And why are we taking Spokane's prisoners? No, thank you. And so my last suggestion is that if we're going to do this, then I don't like the growth of government. I hate the growth of government, because it never gets smaller. It always just absorbs, like an amoeba, like a Borg or something. So I really like to say that if you're going to do this, at least have an option to contract this out to private entities. Now some people go, oh my goodness, private entities, do we know them to trust them? Contracting with private entities for public services. In other words, you're saying, I'm going to hire this guy to do a public thing. The reason I like it, by the way, don't tell the governor guy back there, is because it's a lot easier to fire a guy who's a contracted to pull a government prison out of Kootenai. Try that. But if a guy doesn't do the right thing, you can get those contracts canceled. But you'll never get those government workers out of that plant. That's why I like it. But the concept is they do work. Brigham Young University in Rexburg, Idaho, is a private Latter-day Saint university, receives support from the state via Idaho Opportunity Scholarships. Most people don't know that. In 1901, the Sisters of St. Joseph's of Beverly's agreed to establish a 7-bed hospital in Lewiston. Today, St. Joseph Regional Medical Center is the largest hospital between Boise and Spokane and is eligible for all type of refunds from the government. St. Vincent de Paul already provides services for communities here in Kootenai County. St. Vincent de Paul CDA has a men's. I can give you several examples of where private services work. One of the most important things is that the federal government Bureau of Prisons actually doesn't own their own reentry facilities. They contract with them. And there's one in Boise that works. 30 beds. 30 beds is a lot different than 130. So until Brad Little's administration is willing to work with our local community on any prison facility, I encourage our elected state representatives and senators, and that guy right there who looks good with the gray is the head of the Republican Party. So you go grab him and say, we don't want this here. We should advocate for passing a new statute next year to prevent any expenditure of funds on this facility until a comprehensive community plan has been done. That is not NIMBYism. That is just tell me where it's going to go, how it's going to go, and make sure that we're all good on that. What I encourage each of you guys to do is contact your local and state representatives, ensure they know we don't want this here. It's at least as it's defined now. advocate for your legislator to say, no more funds for this, do not expend any funds in this until we have a better understanding of where it goes. Press the Kootenai County Commissioners. Why aren't they here? The Kootenai County Commissioners are the people who should be taking the lead on this. They should be tell us if they're opposed to putting a new prison in Kootenai County. And spread your message to all your HOAs, clubs like this, church groups, clubs, meeting halls, and do that. I will be more than willing to come and talk with you, any of you, at any time. I know John and everyone else will who's been looking at this, Dwayne. So you can reach me at alex@alexanderbear.com or follow me at www.alexanderbear.com. Thank you so much for being here.